guys? It's TheTeamMonolith here, and I just want to kind of talk about Diablo 3 and kind of what's the changes so far and whatnot. And of course, I'll also direct you towards Diablo 3 fans.com and DiabloFans.com, and what that is a place where you can find the new data mine information for the new expansion coming out later next year. Anyways, so what I want to talk about is kind of the changes that I've seen so far and sort of what I think is gonna change about the game and whatnot. So just kind of like call it like a forecast or something like that. In my opinion, no, I'm not a pro gamer. No, I'm not really the best at the game. But you know what? It's just a sort of opinion on what I think is gonna happen. So you can agree on it, or you can talk about it in the comments below. I don't mind. So anyways, so first off, the most immediate change that I saw was the lack of lifesteal. Lifesteal was being destroyed, nerfed, gone, just taken out completely. At level 60, it got a 0.10 multiplier, and then after that, at level 70, it will be completely just gone. It's removed from the game, and it has no effect whatsoever. So a lot of characters in the game so far, and currently has a lot of life steal already. So if you crit like millions and millions of damage, you will get a lot of life back and effectively not die. Of course, people who go crit based will also have a benefit from lifesteal because it's like I said, it's damage based. So with the removal of life steal, people are gonna have to focus on life on hit, and life on hit is not as a power not powerful really. They're gonna have to possibly change it to the point where the values are high enough that you can kind of be very self-sufficient, or so you can hold your sustain against high mobs. And of course, you have to keep in mind that not everyone can really benefit off life on hit. However, there has been a new thing for life on hit, and that is the announcement from one of the blues. I can't remember who said it, but life on hit will be usable for any skill. So any skill at all will benefit from life on hit. So of course there'll be a lot of diminishing returns. Of course, that's what happens. But there is, sort of hope for people who needs that sustain. And of course, barbs are the ones who suffered the most, I feel, from the lifesteal being destroyed from the game. However, of course, life on hit will hopefully remedy this. One stat I want to talk about in particular, actually, another one I want to talk about is crit chance. That stat needs to be capped very, very quickly at the release of the expansion, however, because people will just max it out and they will face roll the game. Sure, this is fine for lower difficulties, but for Inferno content, you can't let people walk around with 100% crit chance and let them hit like millions and millions of things. They can have, like, I'm not saying to remove crit chance, I'm not saying people can't survive, because you obviously need to do a lot of damage to survive with the removal of lifesteal, but I'm saying that the crit chance and crit damage together, they're very overpowered. So there has to be a cap put on somewhere which will increase people playing properly, a lot more smart, a lot more clever with their playing ability. Because with crit chance, crit damage, you are having an absolute ball killing everything. For example, my Barbarian on normal, he was only able to do MP2 at best. And with gold stuff, I put like $10 down into the real money auction house. I bought crit gear like crit scorn and all other crit gear for that. A lot better gear that focus on crit chance and crit damage. And I was on MP8, doing Diablo and everything like that. So it's really overpowered what you can do. So I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how you would realistically lower caps, make everyone happy, increase gameplay. Your gameplay, without the removal or the lowering a crucial stat that people use and not pissing them off, obviously. But everyone's gonna be mad regardless of what they do. So the next thing I gotta look at is the Barbarian versus the Crusader kind of versus as well. So for the Barb was he was tweaked to a point where the Crusader has to be the next in line for melee tankiness, because as the Barb you had all the lifesteal. Rend was great with the lifesteal rune, of course, and then you have overpower and Furious Charge with the Dreadnought rune, I think it was, where it gave you 8% life per hit. You know, a lot of life back, a lot of really good sustain with the Barb, and while keeping a good moderate to high amount of damage, which is really, really powerful and really good because he was that tanky, you know, melee. While the monk was a very agile monk, a very agile, dexterous character who didn't need to rely on so much as sustain, because the monk already has a lot of moves that gave him a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of healing back, and of course mantras. So Barbs versus Crusaders, it's an unfair matchup and an unfair favoritism going on, because Crusaders can be the next baby, the next like hero class, as you will, from Blizzard, and of course they want to make it very, very appealing. So look at the skills for the Crusader. You can see that that thing is a natural tank. He's a wall. A lot of things benefit off of shield block rate, and a lot of things benefit off of his armor, and of course he gives a lot of party buffs. So this class is obviously going to be used a lot more than that of the Barbarian, who is all of a sudden been transformed into this DPS melee, like nothing special kind of DPS, because a lot of his life back now is no longer lifesteal because it's removed. It has been shoved in with life on Fury point per spent, which is not as strong. It's a monk move, but it works out for the monk. So maybe if the values were turned high enough that it could work out. Look at the new passives for the Barbarian. You can see that he has more passives that will give him more damage, and of course, looking at a lot of his skills too. Some of the damage has been tweaked a little bit higher as well, so that's good for upcoming content. However, those playing hardcore Barbarians are gonna probably have a lot of hard times ahead of them than, of course, what the Crusader would be dealing with, in my opinion, of course. Again, I'm going off of Datamine values and variables, so of course you can make your own opinions, and of course this will not be the finalized project or finalized game settings, so of course any things I see in the class changes are not finalized, so this could be just Blizzard playing hokey pokey with me, which kind of sucks. Anyways, the Crusader's very tanky, very good. Honestly, you could have like a 4-party. Excuse me. I'm a 4-party of tanks and of Crusaders, and you'd be laughing. A lot of the values he has are very overpowered, and a lot of moves he has are really good. And of course, he is very sustainable. He does not need anything with them. But of course, a lot of classes will need a Crusader with them because he is a very good tanky supporting character, while keeping DPS, as I can see as well. So with the new uniques out there, a lot of the uniques are being dropped in. I think what's going to be the most imperative thing in the game is that uniques are going to be a lot more, and I mean very much more, what's the word for it? Coveted, wanted, needed, you know, sought out. Just the legendaries and uniques in this game will be a lot better with Loot 2.0. Now the problem is though that depending on how often loot will drop, the value of this gear will go down, in my opinion. Of course it'll go back up, of course, because there's a lot of loot, a lot of legendaries and uniques now. So you will not always have the same legendaries dropping, because there's like, if anyone's ever seen it, sorry, I'm like jumbled up my thoughts right now. In the data mine, there's a list of unique passives, and a lot of just a long list of it that goes down. So you can probably see there's a lot more legendaries than it was in vanilla. So with the new expansion, you have a lot more variety, which is really good. And apparently these legendaries will reflect your level, so you can get a level, let's say level 60 legendary at level like 40 or something like that. Like there's you have a wide range of variety to get this. So the loot will almost reflect that of what the consoles have currently, which is 1.5, I think it's called. But it'll be loot 2.0, which will be drop rates will be a lot better in a way, and a lot of things will be toned down, like blues and whatnot, because no one likes blues. But with the uniques, they're really good, and so I feel like maybe depending on how often they drop, the price will go down. But with the amount they have, the prices will still be that set amount of worth or value for what they're actually worth. So like the value of these legendaries will be still pretty high. And depending on some, which I can see a lot of these will be very excruciatingly high, even if they drop a lot, because they're really good, and a lot of hardcore characters can benefit off of some of the uniques that was shown. For example, Shrine Effects lasting until death is probably one of the coolest ones I've seen so far. And of course, if you guys want to see any more of these unique passives, you can always go to DiabloFans.com and they will show you the awesome data mine. The Real Money Auction House and the Auction House being removed from the game, there's some good points and bad points. So with the good points, the good point is that with the removal of it, people are going to be playing a lot longer, and the game will be a lot harder. It won't be as easy as it was before. So when I played the playthrough on hardcore with the boys and all of us in TeamMonolith, we made a rule that we go to the auction house before and after an act. That was basically the mantra, because that would allow you to sufficiently, get better gear and not waste too much money in between when you were, leveling up. That was kind of what we did. So, and that made the game really easy. You buy something that's a couple levels higher to you that you foresee would be an upgrade, go it, buy it, you use it, and all of a sudden you're a lot stronger and you can keep on top of the mobs. The mobs weren't that really hard. So when you're leveling in Diablo 3 with the auction house gone, you're going to have a more skill-based oriented game, while keeping the game much like the old Diablo 2, where you were excited for anything that would drop. So like, even if like someone was really bad and it wasn't super your class completely, you were still forced to use it because it was better in some stats that you would require regardless, like vitality, for example. You would still wear it if it had like intelligence and you were on melee. That's what happens sometimes. So, but the bad points, however, with it being removed, is that your gold is now useless. Your gold is a useless fictional money that used to have worth. All it would be used for is repair bills, your mystic stuff, your gemming, and your blacksmithing. Of course, these are also very, very useful things in its own right, because you can keep gemming and you keep blacksmithing. And of course, the mystic will be a lot more useful as well with the reforging and the transmogrification, but mostly the reforging and the enchantment aspect, which is also something that should be looked at by everyone right now. So go to DiabloFans.com, blah blah blah. I've said that like 1,000 times, but go there at that site, check out their content, check out the Mystic mostly. That's a very cool thing to read about. As you can notice, that this Mystic will add some changes to the game, which will allow people to kind of remedy the fact that the auction house is gone, while keeping gold sort of useful and making you much more attached to your own gear, and making kind of grinding a lot more worth it in the end. And I think that's pretty much it, actually. That's it for me talking about Diablo 3. Hopefully you guys